welcome back to Interview with the Blues. This is part two of my interview with blues singer, songwriter, and harmonica player, John Nemeth. Now, I'm going to be honest with you, John. I did not find out about you and your music until your Feelin Freaky album came out.
Oh, yeah.
Betsy Brown sent me a copy. And compared to your other albums that I heard after that, Feelin Freaky is completely different. It's like a bunch of different genres on that album. Why did you decide to kind of like go kind of in a different direction for that one?
Man, I'm sort of unpredictable to a fault. Yeah. I mean, a lot of there's blues guys that are really good business guys and they stick with their little formula that's works for them, And man, I'm a songwriter, so I just write the songs. And as I write the songs, this is what it is, and this is how the album goes. I really don't think about it conceptually. I just think about it as far as the songs go. And that was a really interesting album for me. I think it's probably one of the coolest, most intense songwriting records that I've done. And it actually got me like a whole new fan base of folks that were like, they're not really blues fans. They like the blues, but they're not really blues fans. I mean, they like funk, and they like rock and roll and jam music and just like general music fans. So that was really interesting. I had a great time cutting that record.
Yeah, I mean, when I heard it, I was like really surprised at the song.
Yeah.
Wow, this is different. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my fans loved it.
Good.
On my radio show.
Yeah.
Yeah. In 2017, you got involved in a project with a 10-piece band called the Love Light Orchestra, featuring John Nemeth. Can you tell our viewers about that project?
So some of those guys are members of the Bo Keys, which was the band that I cut Memphis Greece with. And a lot of those guys in that band, they worked with Bobby Blue Bland. And man, this guy's, that's a stone cold Memphis blues band right there, like a horn style blues band, the BB King, Bobby Blue Bland, Little Junior Parker stripe. And I was just talking with the cats, and I was thinking, man, it'd be really great to do this kind of music. I mean, nobody does. These songs are, and that style of that kind of music with that 5-piece horn section, which is the Memphis sound. That's the 2 trumpets, baritone, and trombone and tenor. And that's the sound. And so, man, you know what? These guys put that band together, and I showed up to rehearsal, and it just it was like that. I mean, when the drummer has worked with Bobby Blue Bland, that's a serious communication connection the vocalist has with the drummer. And he just drives that band. And the horns, man, everything just fell into place. We just cut a studio record too, man. And woo, man, like it's all but one song's original on it. Man, that's some tough music. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, I like to hear that sometime.
We'll send it to you, man, when it comes out.
Yeah, thanks. I understand that Luther Dickinson from the North Mississippi All Stars produced your Feelin Freaky album.
Yeah, man, I met him on a blues cruise, and he said he was a fan, and said I should come down to Mississippi sometime and cut a record. And so I was working up that material, and I thought, shoot, you know what? Luther said he'd produce the material, so I'll give him a shout. And he works with a great engineer down there who's engineered all his records, and that was really fun. He's a fun guy to work with.
And then you released Memphis Greece. an album of harmonica-driven blues and sweet blue-eyed soul. Okay. And you have 3 cover songs on that album. Is that correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey,
That's the album we were talking about when I first moved to Memphis.
okay.
I've got the
When you
Cry.
decide to pick a cover song,
Mhm.
put on an album, how do you go about deciding what song you're gonna choose and for that album?
Usually it's kind of songs that I had sang live at one time or another. You know, I tour a lot with a tight band. I'll say, hey, you know what? I want to do this tune. This is my idea for it. And we'll work it up and we'll play it and see how the crowd reacts to it. And uh, and so I had and that was Otis Rush number and the Roy Orbison number and a Howard Tate song. It was really wild. I met the Howard Tate's band one night after sitting in with a group in San Francisco, and the drummer of the band went out and got me one of the CDs, Howard Tate CDs, and it was called "Get It While You Can." And oh man, I think that's one of the greatest albums ever written, period, and probably influenced more albums than any other. Um, and it had a song on there called "Stop." And I heard that tune, and I was playing that song with my small band, and we worked up an arrangement, not knowing the whole time that Jimi Hendrix had actually done a small band version of it as well. And his is just as cool. His is different than mine. Um, People always said that I could scream like Howard Tate, and that was before I even knew who Howard Tate was. And uh, so I put that song on the album because I liked it and the crowd likes it. That's usually how it works. I'll play it for the audience, they dig it, and I'll throw it on a record.
Okay. Now we end up in a pandemic. Right? But you released your 10th album, Stronger Than Strong. Can you share the story with us? I understand that you were recovering from a crippling injury before that album was done.
Yeah, I went on a long tour of Europe. Um, I went and toured Russia and Finland and Spain. And while I was in Spain, actually, I was on a cruise boat. I'd done this tour, and then when I got to Barcelona, we got on a cruise boat uh, with the Joe Bonamassa "Keeping the Blues Alive at Sea" uh, cruise, and they didn't really know what it was, and it really wasn't like the the doctors. They just treated it with like a steroid shot and good luck, you know, see y'all later, and because they couldn't figure out what it was, and then I got to France. I still kept on touring. I probably should have just called it and just gone home, but I don't know. Uh, I got to France, and in France they thought it was gout. It wasn't gout either, and it turned out to be an infection of some kind. And I guess, you know, you can get something, you know, something can crawl inside your body from somewhere inside your body, and anyways, it locked me up. I couldn't walk. I was stuck in bed, and I was just messed up. I mean, like constant pain. And no pain pills worked, nothing. I mean, they tried everything on me, and nothing could kill the pain, and nothing could kill what I had, and I just kind of had to deal with it. It was terrible, man.
But then you got an album out.
Then I got an album out. Yeah, I was like, well, you know, there's nothing to do here, but like, you know, I got to take my mind off this somehow.
Mm.
And so I took my mind off it by writing some music. And the band was hot because we had just done this big tour. Well, the band was just scorching hot. And the guitar player kid, I had this 19-year-old kid playing guitar in the band, just scorching hot guitar player. And I thought, you know what? Screw it. You know what? I'm going to get over this and I'm going to need an album. So I better just make one now. I got nothing to do but lay here. And we got into the studio and we cut all those tunes. Shoot, man. 2 or 3 days, we cut the whole album and mixed it up in a few days. And we cut it all on tape, too. I like cutting music on tape and mixing it on the fly.
Yeah, well, I wanted to ask you about that. What's it like recording live to tape as doing digital?
Well, here's the thing that I like about it is that I don't need a computer. I don't need a computer to fix my singing. I don't need a computer to move my singing around. I don't hire, musicians that need the assistance of a computer. Computers don't sound that great, unless you go to some studio that's got a, $1 million console or something to run it through before you run it to the computer. So I'm like, you know what? Forget about it. I'm just going to go back cutting on tape. And my Memphis Greece record was cut on tape. And I remember the engineer, John Hampton, famous engineer, big hit making guy. And he had to play the album. And so the engineer is also a musician. And so the engineer plays it too. But my band was so good and they were so into what I was doing that they controlled their own dynamics. In fact, a lot of the fades that you hear on the record, the band faded.
Really?
Those are
Wow.
real fades. That's the band fading. That's how good the band is. The band is seriously great. Big ears, they're listening to me. And another reason why I like tape and recording live is that it's a performance for the world. I guess I'm an adrenaline junkie. And I think that, blues is a feeling thing. And all the greatest of blues records are cut on tape too, or cut straight to an acetate. So I really love the charge of getting into a studio and getting it on 1 or 2 takes. And that's it, man. That's the thrill.
Let's talk about your writing process. Are you writing all the time or do you set time aside? What's your writing process like?
I write whenever the spirit hits me, really. I try forcing it too, and sometimes I get things going. Um, Usually what it is I'll just be hanging out. I'll be hanging out with friends or walking down the street. I don't know, watching TV or a comedian or something. And, I'll start drifting off and I'll come back with a song idea. And, somebody will say something that I think, oh, that'd be a cool tune. Or I'll say something to somebody and I'll make a story about it. But at first I have to have a title. So it all starts with the title. People ask me, oh, do you write the music and then you put the lyrics to it, you know? And I think that's weird. That's like building a house before you know what it's supposed to look like, you know?
Yeah.
And so it can be done that way, but I think it's way more interesting. And that's how you get albums like Feelin Freaky, because it starts off as a song,
Mhm.
and the song is the materials for the rest of the tune. And so you never know where it's going to take you when you treat it like that.
When you're getting ready to put the melody, if you have the title and the lyrics, do you sit down at the piano? Do you use a harmonica? How do you figure out the melody for the song?
I usually sing it.
Huh?
And it's really interesting to me that the choice of the key that I use for the song has a real great emotional connection. Like all the keys to different songs have a certain emotional connection. They all sound different and they all feel different. And shoot, 99% of the time I'm spot on with the emotion. Um, Sometimes I'll and I sit down and I'll sit down at the piano. So I'll start singing and I sit down at the piano and the chords just fall behind the melody. And then I start singing a verse and we just get this thing going. Or I'll have a guitar. I'll strum a guitar and um, sometimes I'll just be singing and I'll play a harmonica. I'll sing it and I'll play a harmonica and answer or something like that too. There's so many different ways they develop, and not any one particular way. And just because there's a harmonica on a song doesn't mean it actually started out as a harmonica song in the first place.
Mhm.
Most of those songs kind of start off. The harmonica gets added after the song's written.
Okay. At what point in the process of creating the song do you bring the band in? Do you like share the songs with the band, add their parts?
Well, it's usually either completely written or three-quarters written. Um, and it also depends on, I mean, um, usually the chord progression's all set up, melodies set up. Maybe all the lyrics aren't exactly the way I want them, but they're getting close. I think songwriting is an editing thing, and getting all the syllables and the rhymes to lay right with the music can take a little bit of time sometimes. Sometimes I'll write a song like that and boom, it's there. And sometimes it takes a week, 2, 3 weeks sometimes to get it where I like it. Uh, but yeah, I'll pretty much have it down. And like Stronger Than Strong, I actually just played the songs on the piano and sent them to the band. And because I wasn't feeling too well, right? So, and I couldn't like get up and go hang out with them, and so that album was done a little differently in that kind of aspect, where it was like I recorded everything on the phone and sent it to the band, and then they took the tunes and they were like they wanted to like put their own stamp on the songs, and I'm like, you know what? That's great. I want you all to go ahead and do that because I didn't have the energy so much it took everything I had to do that record. And the band came together and helped me out big time on that album. So kudos to those young cats, man. I mean, they really truly are some of the greatest out there.
Going on to my next question. Tell me about your band, the Blue Dreamers, these young cats that you've got backing you up, man.
Man, it's pretty wild. So they're all like younger guys. They all come from like blues backgrounds. Um, the 19-year-old guitar player, he played with a band, Mikey Jr. and a bunch of other folks out there in Philadelphia growing up. And I don't know, I guess he probably had 3 years under his belt. But
Yeah.
a good 3 years. Um, and then Matthew Wilson, uh, his family plays blues. And talk about 6 degrees of separation. Um, his uncle used to be the drummer in Anson Funderburgh and the Rockets. And his brother's also a great blues guitar player. And so they had a band up in Milwaukee. And Matthew also worked with Nick Moss and the Flip Tops. And that's where I heard Matthew. And I heard him play and I was like, wow, you know what? This guy can play. And I thought, maybe someday I'll hire him, if he's available. And then the drummer, Danny Banks, he came out and sat in with me out in Hyannis, Massachusetts. And back when he was, I don't know, 14 or 15. And then he put a band together and he was singing my songs in his band. talk about a connection with a drummer. When you have a drummer actually singing your music, you know. And so, and he was hitting me up for a gig, and so I finally gave him a gig, and he came right in and just killed it. He sang all the harmonies and everything. Same way with Matthew. Matthew just came in, boom. It was like these guys already knew me. John Hay, he came into the band like he, already knew me, and every one of these cats has moved to Memphis, and they've been in Memphis ever since they've been in the band, and I mean, it really is an honor to have, folks that are, of another generation of blues players that love what you do and want to commit to your project.
Right.
They're the best.
Let's talk about a couple of the songs on Stronger Than Strong. Your song Work for Love has a line in it called Something Smells Funky. Did you get that from Elvin Bishop?
Man, I wasn't even thinking about Elvin. No, I was just, thinking about, uh, some cat that, I mean, spends all his time working his job, and just to come home and find out that, maybe somebody's been getting busy on him while he's at work, Uh,
Okay.
and but yeah, I like that line using. There's so many ways to describe funky.
Yeah, that's true. And then you have two what I consider socially conscious songs on this album.
Yeah,
You got Bars and Chain Breaker.
yeah, man, those are interesting tunes. I, I guess I was just thinking about how I can be helpful, and I guess throughout my life I've been in situations where I'd be hanging out with people that were like racist and generalizing and stereotyping people, and most of them just didn't know what the hell they were even talking about. They just were regurgitating some sort of rhetoric that trickled down from the top of the government down into their speak, or from the top of the government into their little government radio shows, you know. And most of these folks were like always surprised when I didn't laugh at the jokes. I didn't think they were funny, you know. And so I feel like I'm this cat that kind of like, if you have somebody that doesn't like just, you know, hee haw with the rest of them, you break that chain. The party's over, the party's up, and the conversation changes. And I think if everyone can just be like that, I think the country will benefit, and certainly all minorities will benefit. Everybody will benefit. I mean, I think everybody's going to take some criticism and generalizing and racism that is probably, not warranted at some point in time in their life. Um, so I wrote that tune, and I really wanted to be super like clear in my messages, and so like for the first time ever, I included other people to write the song, and I included Matthew Wilson and my wife Jackie Taylor to write the tune and basically like edit it.
Mhm.
Um, and then Bars, that tune was like my son asked me one day why we have bars on the window in our house, and which is really common here in Memphis. And I guess like a lot of those bars went up after '68, Martin Luther King was assassinated, and there was riots, and the town was in even more disarray and pain and danger. And I just thought about it, just all the different aspects of this kind of way of thinking, this selfish way of thinking, um, and you have the Me Too movement. I was thinking about my daughter and what kind of world she'd be living in. And so I guess I just kind of wanted to call out the situation. And actually, I wrote the song and I lost it. I didn't know where it was. I think it fell back somewhere behind something, and my wife found it. She said, "Hey, you should record this." So I did.
There you go. Now, would you consider your song "I Can See Your Love Light Shine" the title track on the album? Because you have the line "Stronger Than Strong" in that song.
Yeah, kind of. I think that was a really cool tune. That was a song that was written like probably in, I don't know, 20 minutes. That one just kind of flew out. And I think when I see people, and I always look for the good in people. I want people to look for the good in me, and treat me with the fairness that I'll treat them, and that's where that song came from. And that's if we just had more of that, in the world, more of that in the country too. The country at the time was like, I mean, you know, what happened to all the progress? You know, um, yeah, things aren't like completely fair, that's for sure. But what let's not go backwards, you know. Uh, I don't know. There was some weird agenda that was going on, yeah, at the time, and also Black Lives Matter was making an even bigger presence at the time, and I just felt like, you know, I needed to say something. Yeah,
It is my favorite song on the album. I mean, I like every song on the album, but that's my
me too.
favorite song.
It's
And
my
it's a
favorite.
great dance tune.
Yeah,
You can boogie to that song.
yeah,
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. It's a weird song, like when I wrote it, I wrote it as like sitting at the piano, and it's like a Memphis boogie.
Yeah.
That's the way I wrote it. And it's really interesting that when you find that thing that goes universal, I think I touched on it in this tune, the band was able to shape it in different ways. So, like, the drummer has like a ska boogie beat, but it leans boogie. The bass player is playing a rock and roll bass line, and the guitar player's playing a reggae rhythm. And it's really interesting when things like when you find that little trajectory that is like something that is in everything all around us. All different music styles can fit together in this kind of harmony. It was cool. I really appreciate the band, like, and I just said, hey, go for that. It works. Whatever you're doing, it works, man. I don't have to change a thing I'm doing. It just works. And that's one of my favorite tunes. And it works, man. It's just like the attitudes of everybody in the room. It's a complete game changer.
How did you wind up signing with Nola Records for that album, Stronger Than Strong?
Well, I mean, I contacted everybody, but everyone was just scared to death to put out an album during COVID. And also, my albums, they really don't, I don't like I don't make an album for a blues rock crowd or a traditional blues crowd or a soul blues crowd. I just make John Nemeth records. But John Nemeth records kind of float on throughout anything and everything. And I think the business, unfortunately, isn't as cool like it used to be back in the day when, like, you know, this artist had their sound and this artist had their sound and this artist had their sound. And if they were good sounds, record companies just said, wow, this is cool and new and different. Let's put it out. Now everything has to fit in those little holes for people. You know, it's like the guts are missing out of the industry. And there's this publicist that I've worked with out in Pennsylvania, Jenny Buckley, and she works with Michael Cloran and the Poconos Blues Festival and a lot of different blues festival. Uh, what's the farm? Something farm. Oh man, it was a great festival. I played a bunch of them out
Briggs,
there.
Briggs Blues. Yeah.
Briggs Farm. She does that. God, that was a great one. And Mock Chunk Opera House and all sorts of different venues. Anyways, she knew Sally from Nola Blue, and she put me in touch with Nola Blue. And Nola Blue heard the record, and Nola Blue's like, let's get it out there. Pandemic or no pandemic, you know, they were sold. And they love the songs, they love the production. Um, and and Sally had seen me play before, and I had done a TV show with Benny Turner called Memphis Beat that was filmed in New Orleans.
Okay.
I don't know, 15 years ago, and he was on the label. So he's like,
Good.
yeah, yeah, it's cool. So man, I mean, I appreciate the guts. You know, they put this album out, and it just they put it out there, man. It just sailed. You know, the boat just they put the boat out, and the boat just like sailed and still selling. I mean, it's been in the I don't know 6 months and still in the top 50 on the blues radio charts, and it's still selling. And I
Was
haven't even
nominated for
toured.
a Blues Award too, right? The BB
Yeah,
King Entertainer of the Year, right?
I know.
Congratulations.
Wow, man, that's so wild. Yeah, I couldn't be happier, really, man. I mean, it's great, and those Nola Blue Cats. I mean, Betsy Brown here in Memphis doing a radio promotion, and you know, I don't know, it's just really super cool, and it's just really refreshing that that there's people out there in the record industry that just they just see it as music, and they want to get behind it, and it's an honor to work with them.
What makes you happy?
What makes me happy? Well, let's see here. I would have to say just people make me happy. I mean, I hang out with my family. I've been with my family 24/7 for 13 months. I haven't had that opportunity ever. And I mean, it's fun. It's exciting just to be able to hang out with my kids and my wife. Um, and what makes me happy is people. And I mean, I guess I get sad when I can't see my friends and family that live in other places. I can't see my fans, and so I mean, I'm so glad I have my family. Otherwise, this would be like a devastating time. I mean, shoot, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what. I don't know if I didn't have my family. I don't know what happened to me in this pandemic, man. It's pretty scary.
What makes
Yeah.
you mad?
I think what makes me mad is selfishness. I think that makes me the most angry. When some people have the means, and they've gotten the means by taking the means away from people they should be given the means to. and just trying to get rich and greedy. And I don't know. I just feel like this whole pandemic thing is, 100% avoidable, you know, but there's people out there that figured out how to make a buck off this, and they were researching how do you make a buck off a pandemic. And so they decided they were going to make a buck off a pandemic, no matter whether or not 500,000 people had to die because they made this buck. It's just some serious like horse shit if I've ever like witnessed it. And I mean, I didn't live through Vietnam or World War II or communist occupations or genocides and annihilations. My father, he came from Europe, and he got sandwiched in the worst of it, World War II and communism and but through all of that, I'm really glad that my country has a lot of compassion. There are a lot of compassionate people in this country, and they make up for all the non-compassionate people. And so for that, I'm forever grateful. And you know
What's your favorite curse word?
oh man, I think it's shitbag. I used to go fishing with an old jazz guy, man. And uh and and Bob Jarvis played the clarinet, and we'd go fishing, and he couldn't see. He had Coke bottle glasses, and he couldn't see, and he'd be trying to he'd get the fish, and he'd be trying to find the fish. He'd be trying to kill the fish, you know, and he'd just be sitting there cussing. And I'm a high school kid, I thought that was great. So I've always held on to that one.
What is one profession you would not want to do? And I think you might have mentioned it early on in the beginning of the interview.
Oh man, what profession would I not want to do? All of them, except for music.
There you go.
I kind of had to do this, Greg. There was no other plan B for me.
Okay. Okay. Hey, let me ask you, John, when you're on tour, what is one of the favorite things you like to do on your downtime?
Oh man. Um I think I like to just take in the culture. So like wherever I'm at, I like to go I like to go see the local music. I like to eat the local food. I like to go to the local museums, um, hang out at a local bar, uh, and uh, and then there's something that I do like on my odd downtime all the time is of course smoke a bunch of grass.
What do you have planned for the rest of 2021?
Man, there's not a whole lot on the calendar, but there is things starting to trickle in. I have a small gig in Montgomery, Alabama next month at the Capitol Oyster Bar, doing an outdoor event. And then I have a blues festival in the middle of nowhere, Kansas. I figure these are all safe outdoor events. And then nothing in June. I'm probably going to go out, and now that I got lucky. I got vaccinated. My wife is vaccinated. My family back in Idaho is vaccinated. I'm going to go hit the road when school is up and take the kids back out to Idaho for a month. And then hopefully go to upstate New York and do a festival. Go to Spain in August and Switzerland in September, God willing. Um, they got these variants that are like popping up now.
Mm.
And everybody's like, la 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 la, I mean, it's like somebody at their church or somebody on some radio show tells them everything's okay and they can just go out and carry on. And I sure hope so. I hope that's the truth, because I'm kind of worried and skeptical whether or not we're going to have another situation, real fast. And if somebody can make a buck off of it, they will.
Yeah. Well, hopefully not. Hopefully the vaccines will take care of the variants too.
I hope so too, man. God, because it's really crazy. I mean, it's been tough, I mean,
Yeah.
there's there's money coming in, but not enough.
Right.
And, you know,
Where can our viewers find out more about you and your music?
well, they can go to johnnemeth.com. That's JohnNemeth.com. And you can get all my albums and t-shirts and things like that. You can find me on Facebook and Twitter, although I'm not terrifically active on there, but I do post things, frequently. But and I try to respond to emails as fast as I can. And shoot your local record store and your radio show, and I mean, there's plenty of outlets to find me.
Right, right. Well, John, I want to thank you for taking time tonight to stop by Interview with the Blues, chat with me, and
My pleasure, man.
take care. Be safe, man. And I wish you all the best in your musical journey, you and your band.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate it. This has been a lot of fun, man. You really do a great interview, man, and it's an honor to be on your show. And thank you so much for spreading the news about the blues, man. Thanks.
We're going to close out tonight's interview with a track from John Nemeth's latest album, Stronger Than Strong. This is a song that'll get you grooving. This is I Can See Your Love Light Shine.